Baby Driver. It's a new film by Edgar Wright, the guy who wrote and directed Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, World's End, and Scott Pilgrim. That's it. Go see it. Fine, if you really need more convincing to go see this movie, well then, okay. I've said for well over a decade that Edgar Wright is probably the most talented comedic filmmaker out there, but with Baby Driver, even though it is still full of jokes, he's attempting to move into the world of dramatic thrillers, and I have to say, he absolutely succeeds. This is the story of Baby, a getaway driver who is trying to give up his life of crime, but he has to keep going on jobs so that he can pay off his debt to his criminal boss. It's a pretty standard story. The criminal who wants to leave this life behind, but he has to go out on one last job. We've seen that before, but who cares? You can take an old concept and still make something great with it as long as the writing is clever, the characters are intriguing, and the story is engaging, and this movie gets a big old check mark in each of those. This movie does so many things that we have seen before, but because the characters are so good and the dialogue lives up to what you'd expect from Edgar Wright, it feels like you're watching it for the first time. You will instantly fall in love with the character of Baby. Despite the fact that he's a man of few words, you immediately get an understanding of his character. In fact, I mentioned that we've seen so many things in this film before, but I've never seen a protagonist quite like Baby. And everybody else in this film is excellent as well. Kevin Spacey is his evil boss, and sure, he's basically just doing what Kevin Spacey does, but damn if he doesn't do it well. And Jamie Foxx, I'll admit, when he first popped up, I thought, man, they're wasting Jamie Foxx. They could have gotten anybody for this role. But as the film went on, Foxx brought a force to that character that made him legitimately terrifying. And this isn't just a crime thriller, it's a love story, as Baby meets a girl named Deborah, who he starts to fall in love with, and she starts to fall for him as well, and yeah, they're adorable together. They are such a sweet pair, and you really want to see them work out. But the biggest star of this film isn't Baby. It's not Kevin Spacey. It's not any of the actors or characters. It's the music. Baby has an obsession with music, and he does everything according to a playlist. He is constantly listening to music, and I won't spoil it, but there's actually a reason for this other than that it's a quirky personality trait. It's actually part of the plot, and the reason for it is great. But Edgar Wright is able to take this soundtrack, and he films the whole movie around it. Every action scene, every conversation, every chase scene is filmed so that it hits the musical beats of the soundtrack, and it is stunning to watch. You remember when Edgar Wright did Shaun of the Dead and there was that scene when Queen came on the jukebox and they had to fight zombies to it? Yeah, this whole movie is that. And words cannot describe how well that works. The car chases in this film are breathtaking to watch as the cars swerve and dodge to the beat of the song, and there's one confrontation scene where they use Barry White of all people to raise tension, and it works so well, I kid you not. I stopped to look around the room during that scene, and half the audience was leaning dead ahead anticipating what would happen next. And this isn't just thanks to Edgar Wright. To pull something like this off, you need the director to pace it all out, the cinematographer to set it up, and the editor to merge it all together, and I'm incredibly impressed how well they all worked hand in hand to make this one of the best thrillers I've seen in years. And the story is damn good as well. I seriously thought, you know what? The star of this film is the visuals. I could tell someone the entire plot of this film and it wouldn't ruin anything. And then in the final act, about 12 crazy things all happen, and I thought, nope, the story is totally important too. Tons of stuff to spoil here, and it's all mind-blowing. Again, everything about this film is stuff that you've seen before, but they still find a way to shock you with it. However, I do have a few problems. Slight, teeny tiny problems. For starters, as I said, this is a love story between Baby and Deborah, but we don't get a lot of backstory on Deborah, and I feel that's kind of important because towards the end of this film, she gets wrapped up in some pretty crazy stuff, and she just sort of goes along with it. And I feel like we needed to understand her a bit more to get why she would be willing to go to these lengths. Also, there is a turn with one of the characters in the film that happens almost on a dime, and I could kinda buy it, but only because I was having so much fun with the movie. Otherwise, the turn feels like they needed it to happen in order to make the story continue. But yeah folks, that's it. Normally, I wouldn't even bother bringing up complaints that small, but I had to explain to you why this isn't a perfect 10 out of 10 for me, but hey, 9 out of 10 ain't bad either. In fact, I can't imagine this film not being on my 10 best movies of the year list, so I cannot recommend seeing this enough. Go find it and enjoy it. And I hope you enjoyed this mini review. Remember, we do these every week, as well as spoiler talks on movies and shows, as well as tons of other videos on anything from the world of geekery. So if you want to see all that, then hit that subscribe button and follow us on Twitter and Tumblr at Professor Thorgi. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Come back next time.